a while since we've covered some Drea. I think the last time we covered her was when we learned she had a new video editor because the video was so polished and beautiful. And then it turned out that that video editor, Matt Brevner, is a homophobe who hung out with a homophobic preacher. But this, I mean, it's a short clip. It barely has anything to do with Drea in the sense that Ezra is going to do most of the talking here. But for those who don't know, there has been these ongoing incidences occurring in Canada right now where Catholic churches are being targeted for arson. The most typical, or I think most people assume, and it probably is accurate, that these are being conducted by Indigenous people in retaliation to the unmarked graves of Indigenous children being found at residential schools. So in Kamloops was the start of this. They found 215 Indigenous children, their remains, by the residential school. And so there has been pushback from this, in part because the program for the residential school system happened in tandem with the Roman. So it wasn't just the government; they worked with the Roman Catholic Church to. Basically, the idea was to remove the Indian from the child, is how they put it. And it was a way of trying to get rid of their culture, and they basically destroyed these children's lives and their family lives because they just came and took the children. Many of them didn't even know that their children had died. They got no word of it. And it was disgusting. It was and still is, because again, the last residential school closed in 1996. These things are quasi-recent and are still ongoing in terms of the effects that they're having and the effects and ways we still treat Indigenous people in this country. That, and the Pope refuses to apologize for it. So that, all of this being said, there's been some arson, okay? So now what we're going to watch is Drea Humphrey's attempts to go ask a question of Justin Trudeau. And I'll just sum that up that way, and we will get into it. Here we go.
I'm furious, but I need your help.
He's furious.
Our Vancouver reporter, Drea Humphrey, was physically manhandled by Justin Trudeau's personal bodyguards for simply asking questions Trudeau didn't like. Take a look for yourself.
I just want to frame it for you, because physically manhandled? I mean, in chat, tell me, when someone says someone's been physically manhandled, what do you think? Describe what you think that means. What do you think happened to Drea? If you take literally that she was physically manhandled by the RCMP. Just like the stolen generations in Australia, a whole chapter in the Colonial Playbook. Yeah, I mean, that was the whole residential school stuff. I would like one day to have someone on with a bit more expertise on the subject and chat with them about it. I'm expecting they did a full suplex and bodies. Could you imagine, though, if that actually happened? That would be friggin' amazing. Roughed up like that physical incident in Parliament a few years ago. Oh my god. Okay, yeah, no, actually, that's a good reference. For those, so what happened in Parliament? I think what Two Cars is referring to is Justin Trudeau was walking to like pass something, and I had to pass someone, and then gently used his elbow to like brush by someone. Elbow gate, yeah. Sometimes it's like I don't like Justin Trudeau, so it's like defending him all the time is kind of annoying. And it's like this was one of those cases where I was like, could he have been a bit more patient? Sure, but like the Conservatives just like went ape shit over this. But anyways, let's witness. We're gonna witness the physical manhandling of Drea Humphreys. Yeah, here it goes.
You talked about Canada's last wrongs, the past things they haven't done right. When will you speak out about the 20 vandalized churches? They're burning churches and vandalizing them, and you're not calling it a hate crime.
That makes me sick. Drea isn't a...
That makes me sick. Okay, listen, we gotta get another shot. All right, it's literally a grab of the back and just a gentle move. Watch this. Oh.
20 vandalized churches. They're burning churches and vandalizing them, and you're not calling it.
So look, it's just he goes in, just grabs, and then it's just a gentle turn,
Hate crime.
whoop, and then walks away. And Ezra's like, "That makes me sick." That was it, being ushered by her shoulders off to the side. Justin's Gestapo would turn people away violently. Yeah, oh my god. I just love, like, look at the way he's framing this and talking about it too. It's like he has to sell it so hard. But then when you show this to anyone, like, granted, did any, like, they could have just ignored her, kept going, didn't even have to move her. But at the same point, like, that's what we're here to complain about? Out of all the things that happen, out of all the things that the RCMP has done in this country, this is what Ezra is going to get worked up about.
Sick. Drea is an accomplished journalist, a registered member of the Independent Press Gallery. She was invited to attend Trudeau's campaign press conferences in British Columbia this week during his pre-election swing through the province. She asked Trudeau about the wave of arson targeting churches across Canada.
So there's a part where, like, I agree with the fact of, like, whatever, she's a journalist, she's got credentials, all that fun stuff. Sure. I'm not going to bicker over whether or not they're in fact journalists or not. Notice, however, that, like, you don't see any, like, CBC, CTV, any other of the mainstream companies running up and, like, doing that kind of, like, I got to get you one more question there, Justin Trudeau. And hello, my fellow Pog champions. Hello, Famous Horse. Thanks for the subscription. I mean, the thing is, like, if CTV or CBC or any of these big companies, again, were to do something like that, they would get the same treatment by the RCMP. But then the question is like, do you need to do something like what Drea just did in order to get, like, this story across? I'm pretty sure any of the other journalists could ask this question and might have at that press conference. I don't know. But of course, they got to focus on the fact of, like, the only way they can get their message out there is if they get in there and stir shit up. That's, like, the only way. Ezra, disgusting, treating our serious correspondent like a toddler. You need to move out of the kitchen just because she's too whiny is a whiny little pest. Yes. Jesus.
Especially in BC. Now, Trudeau refused to take her questions and walked away from the podium to pose for selfies with the public. That's more his speed.
Now, I wouldn't say that he refused, right? I mean, there's a difference between, like, you have a particular, like, press-oriented thing. Now, does he have to answer everyone that runs up on the street and be like, I have a question? But not only that, most political parties, I think the only ones who, no, I think it was pretty much every political party refuses to take questions from Rebel News. So it doesn't even matter if they have press passes, they just refuse them. So it's not the question specific that's at issue here. It's just the fact that no one wants to talk to these assholes. I'm shocked not to find Jody defending physical violence against women. Oh my god. You know what? I think the RCMP should have just let it go. Because it's difficult, right? Because, like, one, fuck the police. Two, was she really going to do any harm? And three, you know they're going to cause a scene like this afterwards. Because they do it all the fucking time. So it probably would have been better for them to just leave her alone. You know? But it's like, the thing is, it's like, of course, no other journalist is going to do what they're going to do. Because, like, you didn't get a response from Justin Trudeau. You look like just an antagonistic asshole. And then in the end, like, so what was the point? And the point is, that they want to monetize it. Look, we're being harassed. Look, Justin Trudeau's running some sort of like military outfit that's going to like push people to the side and prevent them from asking questions. It's like, no, you're just being an agitating asshole. Which, I mean, it depends on the context. I think there might be cause where I'd be willing to go be an agitating asshole. The only difference is I think that they're completely full of shit, which cuts against whether or not being an agitating asshole is worth it, right? It's like if someone was agitating Justin Trudeau to be like, why are the vaccines killing people? Then I'd be like, well, the vaccines aren't killing people. Stop being an agitating piece of shit and get the fuck out of here, you know?
Politely walked beside him, asking her questions again. She was never threatening or abusive. She never blocked his path. She never posed any physical danger to Trudeau whatsoever. She was simply asking him questions he didn't like. Trudeau brushed her off, and a squad of Trudeau's RCMP bodyguards immediately swooped in, physically grabbed her, and pulled her away from asking her questions like she was a rag doll or something. The shocking interaction was caught on video. There's no denying it. This is simply unacceptable.
They're milking it so hard.
In a liberal democracy, but it fits with Trudeau's growing reputation as a thin-skinned politician who can't stand criticism, especially from strong women. Just ask Jody Wilson-Raybould. Trudeau prefers to call on hand-picked journalists that he can control, usually.
I will say, he likes to pretend like Jody Wilson-Raybould and him are like best friends. So for those who don't know, Jody Wilson-Raybould was the Attorney General, I think it was. And there was a scandal where Justin Trudeau was had connections with SNC-Lavalin and was giving them money. And Jody Wilson-Raybould, who was the Attorney General, was kind of like, this is not ethical. There's like connections you have here that aren't just. And Justin Trudeau basically pushed her out of the party. She now, she ran as an independent, got reelected. So she's an independent. She's not a part of the Liberal Party anymore. But it's like the only reason Ezra likes her, and the only reason he likes to pretend like I'm on Jody Wilson-Raybould's side, is because she stood up against Justin Trudeau. Everything else that she believes and thinks, Ezra is against. For one, she's an Indigenous woman, and therefore, when it comes to Indigenous rights, believes a ton of things that Ezra does not believe or accept. But he still will pretend like he loves her because she spoke out against Justin Trudeau.
CBC state reporters or journalists from bailout newspapers. But calling in armed bodyguards to physically assault Drea is a new low,
Physically
even for
assault.
Trudeau. Please help us fight that.
We're witnessing a
Go to
physical assault right now.
standwithdrea.com to sign our petition to Trudeau, telling him to call off his bullies and stop ordering the RCMP to assault journalists. And at that same page, you can read our complaint letter to the RCMP.
Okay, let's read this. Holy shit. They just wrote a complaint letter. Jesus Christ. Dear Commissioner Lucky, we are the lawyers for Rebel News Network Limited and its reporter Drea Humphrey. Regarding the above noted matter, please confirm receipt at your earliest opportunity and direct all future correspondence to the undersigned. Ms. Humphrey is an accomplished journalist with Rebel News and registered member of the Independent Press Gallery of Canada. On July 8, 2021, she attended Prime Minister Trudeau's press conference in Coquitlam, British Columbia. Ms. Humphrey attempted to ask questions of Prime Minister Trudeau on matters of public interest. As Ms. Humphrey attempted to pose questions to Prime Minister Trudeau, a squad of the Prime Minister's RCMP Protective Operations Security Detail surrounded Ms. Humphreys. Did they surround her? Physically grabbed her, I guess true, and removed her from the crowd. At no point was Ms. Humphrey ever threatening or abusive, nor did she block the Prime Minister's path or pose any physical danger to the Prime Minister. Yeah, I don't think she was threatening or abusive, but I would argue that she was engaged in some form of, like, light harassment? Light harassment? The enemy of Trudeau is Ezra's friend, whenever there's points going to be. Yeah, exactly. Please be advised that Rebel News staff are entitled to report without being harassed, threatened, or fined. The freedom to hold, receive, and disseminate news and opinion without restriction is central to our democracy. Rebel News' staff are entitled to report and make inquiries on public property without fear of police sanction. On behalf of our clients, we are writing to urgently request that the RCMP carry out a full and transparent investigation into the above incident and that the appropriate corrective measures be taken in response. Like we need like a January 6th commission, but for the Drea Humphreys manhandling. I love it. You know, it's just so over the top that they do this. Aaron Rosenberg, which I guess is their lawyer. God damn.
Complaints Commission, drafted by our general counsel. We're not simply going to let this slide. I know that in Trudeau's male feminist world, you get to assault women you don't like and then brush it off.
Often a man experiences an interaction as being benign or not inappropriate, and a woman, particularly in a professional context, can experience it differently.
Yeah.
So I will say, and this is one point where like I don't need to defend Justin Trudeau. There was a moment where he sexually harassed and I think touched inappropriately a journalist who was interviewing him years ago before he got into politics, and has since basically said sort of, I don't know if this clip is related to that incident, but has basically shoved the accusation aside with that kind of defense. And I think that that kind of defense is not appropriate. Like, you still groped and possibly harassed someone, and that's fucked up, Justin Trudeau. But I mean, like, I'm preaching to the choir here for, like, I think, like, the fact that he wore blackface should have been just as disqualifying, but, like, apparently the rest of my country is A-okay with a neoliberal, blackface, sexually assaulting prime minister just because he has nice hair, and, yeah. But he bought a pipeline, you know, he's cool.
Yeah, that's not going to happen here. If this is how Trudeau behaves now, you know it's only going to get worse during the stress of the campaign when he doesn't like more questions.
I mean, I got to add, too, like, what this, in some ways, this has absolutely nothing to do with Trudeau. Like, I'm pretty sure Trudeau, nothing in, like, what happened really fast there, and I'm pretty sure he never gave orders, but, like, he didn't lean into that RCMP officer and was like, deal with the questioner. Deal with that lady now. Manhandle her. It's pretty much just the RCMP decided to, here's the person impeding people's paths, and we're just going to go, whoop. Problem solved. Prime Minister Gropey McBlackface. I can't pretend our Prime Minister isn't worse, but it's still funny. Yeah, I mean, like, again, like, ideologically, on the grand scheme of things, he's no, like, Donald Trump in that sense, but it's like, Jesus Christ, all of our politicians seem to have, like, especially liberals and conservatives tend to have, like, really icky backgrounds. So I'm not going to say that there isn't also icky backgrounds in the NDP as well. It's just, there's more liberals than conservatives, so I guess it's just numbers game, I guess. I don't know.
We've got to nip this in the bud. Sign our petition now at standwithdrea.com. And if you can help us cover the cost of our lawyer's intervention, please do. You know, Drea is too polite to say it herself, but I really think that Trudeau has a problem with strong women. Whether it's Jane Philpott, Jody Wilson-Raybould, Selena Caesar-Chavannes, he really seems to hate it when a woman questions him, especially a woman of color. Imagine the national outcry if Trudeau had a CBC reporter assaulted this way, but of course that would never happen.
What we really needed Ezra just standing up for the women of color. You know, that's what we need in our lives because of course.
Because a CBC reporter would never ask Trudeau a real question, so he would never lose his temper this way and give into his rage. Please go to standwithdrea.com to sign our petition and chip into our legal complaint against Trudeau's bodyguards. And one more thing. You can be sure having Trudeau's tough guys push her around isn't going to stop Drea from being Vancouver's most effective independent reporter. Please go to standwithdrea.com. Thanks.
Like, there is an irony in Ezra promoting this as standing up for women of color. And yet, he is speaking for Drea, who didn't even care enough to bring this up. Oh, classic Ezra identity politics. I always knew he was an advocate of woke CRT. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is for the people who they constantly go in on identity politics are bad. And yet they're always like, look, we're not racist. We have black people on our team. Or like, you know, all that kind of shit. They are the purveyors of identity politics. 100%.
Hello, my rebels. Hello, my rebels. I'm a good boy. I'm a weirdo.